Hey everyone, I'm your astrologer Brittany of Ethereal Astrology, helping you to see the larger story of your life. Today, you're watching your astrology horoscope for the collective for the full moon in the sign of Leo, which occurs on Wednesday, February 12th, 2025 at 8:53 a.m. Eastern Time or 5:53 a.m. Pacific Time, of course, depending upon where you live. Now, what I think is going on here at this full moon in Leo is that we're trying to be happy, have fun, and take initiative in our lives, really to rest, to be at ease, to surrender to the process and spirit and whatever they have in store, and that being very hard for us to do because we're not used to doing it, because it feels uncomfortable, making us anxious and nervous, and maybe act out unexpectedly here and fall back into old habits such as doing too much, overworking, being too hard on ourselves here, or unexpected events just happening, making us anxious and nervous here, throwing us back into these old habits. That is a little bit of a challenge that we're going to have to work with, and I think work with by calming our nerves first and foremost. So that's what I'm going to talk about here in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned because I'm going to hop into it right now. Now, in order to get started, what I like to do first is to place on the chart what it is that I'm referring to here in this video so that you can see it and follow along with me. So let me do that. This video is for that full moon in the sign of Leo. As a result, I have adjusted my chart accordingly to that lunar event. I know that it's adjusted for that because I've got the moon here in Leo making an exact opposition over here to the sun here in the sign of Aquarius. And when the moon opposes the sun here, that is what is considered a full moon. Okay, and of course, the full moon's in Leo because that is where the moon itself is. Now, what is this about from a very broad general perspective? Well, full moons are all about really stepping into things here and bringing them to completion, because that is when the moon is the furthest from the sun. So taking something as far as it can go. Not only are full moons about that, but they also too, I believe, bring some sort of illumination or insight that maybe we did not see before that might be helpful for our situation, especially because that is when the moon is the brightest in the night sky. Not only that, but full moon is also a function of an opposition, and oppositions, it's hard to do two opposite things at once, usually do require some sort of a decision here to be made, which is why full moons can be a bit intense here that might be going on. Okay, what is it that we are bringing to completion, stepping into, getting some insight on here, or making some decisions about? Well, that's Leo, because that is, of course, the sign that the moon is in. Okay, what is Leo all about? Well, Leo is a fire sign. To me, fire signs are more passionate, more fiery, of course, more lively in a lot of ways. So I think we're trying to step into that, more passion, more excitement for life. Not only that, but Leo to me specifically correlates to our heart, like literally ruling the body part of our heart, but also figuratively, our heart doing what is happy, what we love, and having fun in life here as well. So not only are we trying to find more of our fire and passion and get illumination on that and make decisions about that and step into that, but really trying to step into our heart and what we love and enjoy and what truly makes us happy here in life. Not only that, but I also consider Leo as well to be a sign of leadership here in a lot of ways. And leadership to me is more about following our heart, right? I think that's why they're correlated, and doing kind of what is important to us and is going to make us happy, even if other people don't like it. That to me is what leadership is, and kind of taking the initiative to do that. So I think we're also trying to make moves, I suppose you could say, to lead our lives in attunement with our heart and with what makes us happy and with what's fun to us here, and to move more in that direction here that is going on. Okay, and I want to contrast this for a minute. When I say take leadership on what makes us happy, this is not leadership and act on serious stuff, responsible stuff, hard stuff that's stressful. That's not Leo. Leo's, I'm going to take action on things that I love, things that make me happy, that are fun here, and that I'm excited about, and move towards that here and express that as well. That is going on here. So I think that's what I want to say. I think that's, for me, the main themes that stand out here at this full moon in Leo. We're trying to maybe get more illumination, more understanding on what makes us happy, what's in our heart, what would excite us, what that is, make decisions about that, and then try to take initiative to decide to do those things that it is that we love and enjoy here at this time. Okay, now before I move forward to give you more specifics about that full moon itself and about those themes I just described and how they might play out, I do like to go backwards in time for a little bit here before I go forwards in time. The reason why I like to do that is because I believe that it's the stuff that occurred before this full moon, the context, that really makes the most difference between each full moon and changes one the most from the next, because there is a full moon in Leo every year right around this time. It's the stuff going on around it that makes the difference. So I'm going to go ahead and hop into that. This can get kind of long here. So if you're not interested in hearing about it, totally fine. Just go ahead and skip it. I've got the timestamps below in the description box for you to move ahead into this actual full moon in Leo and what's going on. But for those of you who are interested in the context, I'm going to hop into it now. And to do that, I'm going to go back to January to April, right around there of 2020, when we had a very rare and significant astrological alignment. And what happened there was that we had Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn in the South Node all come conjunct around the middle to late degrees of Capricorn. That's a rare alignment because Saturn and Pluto only come conjunct every 35 years here roughly, and not always with Jupiter and the South Node involved, which makes it even more rare. Okay, it was also a very difficult alignment because Saturn and Pluto are involved, which are traditionally considered malefic planets that bring more challenging things here. Jupiter is in Capricorn, a sign it doesn't like to be in and therefore doesn't function that well in. And the South Node is there as well at that time, which can also be a little bit difficult as well. So a rare difficulty that maybe only occurs every 35 years. What was that rare difficulty? Well, Saturn and the South Node were involved in this. Saturn can indicate stuckness, so too can the South Node, feeling stuck in our lives and maybe the way it had been for 35 years prior to that. Either we did not like any of the past 35 years, they just weren't good ones, or we liked some things over the course of the past 35 years, but we had simply outgrown them, right? And we wanted different things here that was happening at that time. Not only was this us feeling stuck because either we didn't like the past 35 years or just had outgrown it and wanted to move on, then not only that, but Pluto was involved as well. And Pluto is a lot about change, and not just this little change, big, sweeping, permanent change. And I think endings, really, more so than beginnings, because you need to end stuff before the other things can come together here, that I think we realized we needed to make. That's hard. It's hard to make big change when you've been doing something for a very, very long time that's a part of your life. So that to me is what happened between January to April of 2020. We realized the way we've been living our life for the past 35 years, either we didn't like it all or we did at one point, but now have outgrown it. We want to move on, and we need to make big, difficult, hard endings in order to facilitate that occurred there. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment I'm going to mention. I'm going to fast forward 2 years now to April of 2022. Around April of 2022, we had a new moon solar eclipse on the North Node here in the sign of Taurus. Okay. That to me was somewhat of a positive alignment because it was on the North Node, which I tend to see as more of a helpful influence. What was the positive thing that was going on there? Well, new moons are about new beginnings. Solar eclipses super power that here. That was going on. The North Node is positive, and it is in Taurus. Taurus is a lot about fertility and abundance, and a little bit more stability here in our situation from which to grow, right? Taurus is an earth sign, growing things here, especially correlates to the more of the spring season in the Northern Hemisphere here. So I think what happened in April of 2022 is that we felt like we had ended enough things 2 years before that from the past 35 years that we didn't like, that we didn't want, that now we were in a little bit more of a stable and secure place from which to grow and begin new things and try new stuff here that was more fertile and abundant from here on out. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which happened 2 weeks after that, also somewhere around April of 2022. At that time, we had a full moon lunar eclipse in the opposite sign of Scorpio here on the South Node. I know that to me was a little bit difficult here because it was on the south node, which tends to be a bit more challenging than the north node. And of course, the moon was there in Scorpio, a sign it doesn't like to be in. And what was the difficulty there at that time? Well, it was on the south node. The south node is a symbol of stuckness, of not being able to move forward into that fertile new beginning. We were just thinking about 2 weeks prior to this. Okay, not only can it indicate stuckness, but the south node indicates that we're stuck because we have habits or ways of thinking, mindsets that are not helpful to us here, that are not conducive to our growth, that we needed to get rid of first. And the unhelpful mindsets or behaviors that we had that were keeping us stuck, that we needed to get rid of, were Scorpio traits. Not because Scorpio is a bad sign. All of the signs exist for a reason, to help us learn and grow, but just because the south node was there, making those traits a little less helpful at that time. Okay, what might that be? Well, Scorpio, when unhelpful, can be about change, right? Scorpio is a sign of change since it correlates to Pluto here. And I think one of the things that we started to realize was keeping us stuck is that we were making too many changes, right? That's all we'd been doing since 2020, is ending and changing stuff. And now we needed to stop making as many changes as we were in the 2 years prior, because growing something new, building something new, requires a different skill set than tearing something down. And that's not change. You need something different. And not only that, but Scorpio as well can also have to do with our emotions, being a water sign, and sometimes very negative emotions when aspected negatively here. So we also needed to get rid of those negative emotions here, because I think we were feeling a lot, right? The past 2 years, 2020 to 2022, was hard. We needed to get rid of those, or just calm those negative emotions, because it's hard to build something new, which is what we're trying to do here when you keep replaying negative emotions within yourself. So we needed to kind of get a handle on some of those. And not only that, but Scorpio as well is also a sign of money. And when negative can be loss of money or debt. Okay, some of us may have lost some money in between 2020 and 2022, now leaving us in a bad place here that's going on. So we also realized, before we can move forward on a new beginning, we need to get our finances in order so that we have money from which to build moving on. Not only that, but Scorpio, when negatively aspected, can be about relationships here, being too intertwined with relationships, or not able to unencumber yourself from these relationships as well, especially if we had been in some hard relationships that we'd been trying to end in the years prior to that. So this also was us realizing, I can't quite move forward on this new fertile beginning yet, because I've still got some relationships from the past 2 years I'm still intertwined with, that I still need to kind of tear myself away from here in order to move forward. That was going on there. So that's what also happened in April 2022. Can't move forward on this new beginning that I want to, even though I've made enough endings, because I'm still sad about the past. I'm still stuck in this change mode. I got some debt now, and I still got some people around that I'm trying to get rid of that we needed to work on. And if I can be honest with you, I think that pretty much took us the entire year of 2022 to really figure out. It wasn't really until that following year that I think we started to get a handle on that, which was also around April of 2023. Okay, and it was around April of 2023 because April is Aries season, the beginning of the astrological new year. So a lot of things happen around there, but also because that was when we had a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. The North Node was there around that time. And also we had two somewhat outer planets change signs briefly. Pluto left Capricorn briefly and entered Aquarius, and Saturn left Aquarius and entered Pisces here. Okay, what are all these about? Well, when planets change signs like this, they tend to indicate new chapters in our life, or just a very different experience. And so too is Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, where we had an eclipse there. So this was us a year later, April 2023, feeling like we figured out some of the money, relationship, emotional change stuff here that was going on, that we could try again for a second time here, to get into a new, different, and better experience of life, and to really grow and build that in a more better and fertile way than what we were leaving behind. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention here, which was also not that far after May, I believe, May of 2023. Okay, in May of 2023, we then had Venus start to go retrograde here in the sign of Leo. Okay, now this to me was a little bit of a challenging thing here. This was a bit of a challenging thing because it's a planet going retrograde, which is not its natural motion here, especially a personal planet, which we feel more personally in our lives. Okay, what did this indicate? Well, if we think of the symbolism, Venus appearing to go backwards in the sky, this was also us feeling stuck, not able to move forward. Not able to move forward because we still got some more things from the past here to work out. That was a bit of a challenge. Okay, what is it that we needed to work out here? Well, it was Leo, because we weren't doing right or weren't tapping into fully, because if we were, Venus wouldn't have a need to go retrograde there. What is Leo about? Well, that's where the full moon is for this video. It's about happiness, joy, passion, pleasure here. We weren't doing that. We weren't letting ourselves have fun or weren't open to receiving, right? Venus is receiving pleasure here that's going on here. And I think we were still stuck a little in emergency mode, fight or flight, hard work going on, especially because Pluto did retrograde back into Capricorn for a bit during that time. So there we are, May 2023, trying to move forward into a new and better chapter in life again for a second time, but can't because of another issue coming up. And this issue is that we're not in touch with our heart and open to receiving love and joy after all the hard stuff we just been through. Okay, that then leads me now. The next alignment I want to mention about 2 months later, July of 2023. What happened is we had Pluto back at the last degrees of Capricorn, square the nodes at the last degrees of Libra and of Aries there. Okay, what is that? Now, this is called a skip step in evolutionary astrology. This is also indicating stuckness here, which we already know is going on. But this can also indicate another thing here. Squares to the nodes can indicate a big choice needing to be made here in order to get unstuck at this time that's going on. And with Pluto to make some sort of change here. Now, not a whole bunch of change like we were in 2020 to 2022, but just one change to make one, maybe two, but one significant change here that's going on, and a significant change, especially with Venus retrograde in Leo, to honor our heart and to create space. Maybe I'll say that, to create space for more happiness, joy, and love to come into our lives and to have more fun there. That was going on. Okay, that was difficult. It was a difficult choice, but I think we did it. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention almost a year later now, somewhere also around April of 2024. Yes. Around April of 2024, we then had Jupiter and Uranus come into a conjunction here in the sign of Taurus. Okay, now this to me was somewhat of a positive thing here, because Jupiter is the planet of gifts and good luck, and it's fine here in the sign of Taurus that's going on. So I just wanted to consider it a little bit more helpful. Well, what is that helpful thing here? Well, Taurus is, again, fertility, abundance is what it has to do with here, for things to grow. That's going on. It also has to do with more stability and security, and also too with our values, getting more in touch with our values there. Not only that, but another thought here, Taurus also has to do with money. It also has to do with our appearance and our body, and Uranus there can also have made that an unexpected positive thing as well. So what I think happened in April of 2024 is that we had made a change to let love in and happiness and joy and fun into our lives in the months prior. And because of that, we were feeling a bit better, perhaps suddenly and unexpectedly, and not only a bit better, but a bit more able, perhaps suddenly and unexpectedly, to try again for a third time, right? A third time to move forward into a new, different, and better experience of life that we'd been working towards really since 2020 here. That was going on with maybe a little bit of help financially, unexpectedly, and with ourselves and our body and our appearance in order to do it. Okay, that then leads me now to the next series of alignments I'm going to talk about, which are going to be all of the new moons here that occurred in the past astrological year, starting with the one right after that, June of last year, 2024, we had a new moon here in the sign of Gemini. New moons are about new beginnings. Gemini is a lot about our thoughts, our mind, our ideas. It's also about multiple things correlating to the twins. So I think what happened in June of last year is that we started to get a whole bunch of new thoughts and ideas and options about what we could do in a new and better experience of life to move it forward for the third time here. That's going on for the third try to make it happen. That then leads me now to the next new moon, which was a month later, July of 2024. We had a new moon the next sign over in Cancer. New moons are about new beginnings. Cancer is very concerned about the foundations of something and the stability of something, and if it is good for our growth, and can be very shrewd a lot of times. And I think what happened in July of last year with that new moon and some other things going on is that we started to all of a sudden realize that, yeah, we had a lot of ideas about things to pursue to move our lives forward into a new and better place, but that we didn't know which one to pursue or which one was best for us here to really act on, that made things hard. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment I want to mention a month later, of course, August of 2024. Here we had a new moon in that next sign over of Leo. Okay, what is that about? New moons are about new beginnings. Leo is a lot about happiness, joy, and fun. It was also connecting to the North Node in Aries at that time. The North Node's about our purpose. Aries is about action, but I think action in ways that are easier, simple, more straightforward here, and all of that. So I think what happened in August of last year is that we realized the idea that we needed to choose in order to really move our lives forward here is the idea that is the most fun, that resonates the most with our heart, that makes us happy here, and that's easier for us to do and quicker and simpler and not as stressful or complicated. Okay, that then leads me now to the next new moon, which was a month later here, September-ish. Yes, of 2024, we had a new moon here in Virgo. New moons are about new beginnings. Virgo is a lot about healing and fixing things, especially because Mercury was retrograde at that time in Virgo and Leo. Not only is it about healing and fixing things, but also I consider Virgo too about guilt and shame, perhaps, and trying to overcome some of that as well that was going on. So in September of last year, we realized, yeah, I need to do the idea that is happy, that's fun, that's easy. But before I can pursue the idea that's happy, that's fun, that's easy, I need to do some healing and to overcome any guilt or shame that I feel about being happy, that I feel about taking the easy route or doing whatever's simple to me, that there needed to be some healing around that. And I think we went inwards to do that. That then leads me now to the next new moon, October of last year, 2024, here in Libra. It was an eclipse, a solar eclipse in Libra. Okay, new moons are new beginnings. Solar eclipses superpower that. But this was on the South Node. I should note the South Node is actually about letting things go here. So more of a boost to let things go. And it's in Libra. Libra is about hesitating. It's also about overthinking or being codependent, so to speak, as well. So I think what happened in October of last year is that not only did we realize we got to let go of guilt and shame around being happy, having fun, letting life be easy, but we also needed to get rid of hesitating, overthinking, people pleasing, right? Codependency, so that we could also be happy and do more of what we want to do instead of feeling bad about what other people are going to say about it. And we worked through that. That then leads me now to the next new moon about a month later, November of last year, 2024. It was in Scorpio. New moons, new beginnings. Scorpio is about change and transformation. So I think in November of last year, we tried to more permanently change and transform within ourselves to embody this different approach where we have more fun and let life be easy, and tried to do some fun, easy things here. That then leads me to the next new moon a month later, December of 2024 here in Sagittarius. New moons are about new beginnings. Sagittarius is about our belief systems, also in some ways about hope and faith, and Mercury was retrograde here in Sagittarius at that time. And I think what happened in December of last year is that we're trying to have more hope and faith and optimism that if we just keep having fun, doing things easy and simple, that it's going to work. We were trying to do that, but we're starting to doubt it. We're starting to doubt that these happy, fun behaviors were really what we needed to do in order to move our lives forward, and we're really working on that. That then leads me now to the next new moon, which was, I think, also in December last year, 2024, like the last day in December. That was a new moon here that we had in the sign of Capricorn. That was going on. Okay, new moons are about new beginnings. Capricorn is really the beginning of the end of the zodiac here. Being a cardinal sign and the 10th sign of the zodiac, it's a lot about the past and resolving more things from the past. Here, I think that needed to be done, and it feels more not internal stuff that needs to be resolved, but with Capricorn being an earth sign, external stuff here that was going on. So I think what happened in December of 2024 at that new moon in Capricorn is that we started to get a little more hope and faith that doing things fun, easy, and short and quick would work. And we took some action to try to just resolve some more old things from the past that were preventing us from having more joy and from being more happy and from doing more of that stuff here that was going on. And that then leads me now to the next new moon, which was 2 weeks ago now, January, right? I think it was, January of 2025. Okay. And that was here in the sign of Aquarius. New moons are about new beginnings. Aquarius is all about detaching, letting things go. It's also about, getting a unique perspective on things as well. Here, since Aquarius does things a little bit differently. And I think what happened 2 weeks ago at that new moon in Aquarius is that now that we had initiated some things to fix the past so that we can be happy, it was us trying to detach from what we'd done so that it could do its work, so that it could occur, right? Once we set it in motion here, and not only trying to detach from that, but trying to get a unique perspective and a unique approach to how we handle it so that we don't fall back into the same things that we'd done before and the same problems. And I think that unique approach, maybe I need to be clear, that we got is a Pisces one with all this stuff now going on there of resting, surrendering, trusting the process, being at ease, and trying to just be compassionate to ourselves and others while it works itself out. Okay? And because that's what's happened there, now at this full moon in Leo, of which this video is for, we're trying to be happy with the process. I think that's part of it. We're trying to be happy with the process of what we are trying to let go and fix, and however long it takes, right? And to have fun with the journey and all of that. Not only are we trying to be happy with the process and have fun with the journey, but we also as well, I think, are trying to step more into our joy and into our passion, which is really what the past year or two in particular has been all about, and to let our heart really shine and come through more fully here, and to make decisions in order to do that. Okay, and that's it. Because that's it, I'm just going to repeat that very briefly. What's been going on for the past really 5 years now, at this point 4 or 5 years, is that we've been trying to end a lot of things in our life that aren't working for us anymore and step into new, different, and better ones. And it's just been a hard journey to do, been really difficult, one thing after another coming up to make that hard. The first things that really came up that made that hard was that we still had a lot of negative emotions from the past. We're making too many changes, had issues with money and relationships. And then once we resolved that, the next set of issues here is that we weren't really allowing ourselves to be happy. We're stuck in emergency mode here and weren't really following our heart and doing what we love that was going on. And we're now trying to correct that. We're now trying to correct that last issue, which I think is going to help us to get where we need to go. Okay, and that's it. Because that's it, I'm now going to move on into more of the specifics of this full moon itself. Okay, to move into the specifics of this full moon, I'm just going to place on the chart one last time what it is that I'm referring to so that you can see it and follow along with me. So let me do that here. Here's the moon in Leo, making the opposition to the sun in Aquarius for that full moon. Okay, and remember, for those of you who watch the context, this full moon in Leo is about us trying to step more fully into our happiness, our joy, our pleasure here, which, to be honest with you, to make sure now everyone knows, that's what we've been trying to do for the past year or two, especially since Venus went retrograde in the same spot near where the full moon is like 2 years ago. Okay. Not only do I want to clarify that, also, for those of you who didn't watch the context, are we trying to step more fully into our happiness and our joy and our heart? Because that's really the whole point of what we've been trying to do for the past year or two, right? To recover our heart and our emotional expression. But also, we're trying to step into more happiness and joy while we're still in the process of something, right? While we're still surrendering. Because if you watched my horoscope from 2 weeks ago for that new moon in Aquarius, that was a big thing. We're learning to let go, to trust and surrender to the process. So not only is this full moon in Leo, okay, about us just trying to be happy in general in life and have fun in life and honor our heart and do what we love, but it's also about us trying to be happy, have fun, honor our heart and do what we love in the midst of uncertainty. When we're not where we want to be yet, when we're still in the middle of a process here that is going on, and while we're trying to surrender and trust the divine here, that's happening. I think it is both that are related here that we're trying to do, get insight on, make decisions on, and bring together, okay? Now, let's talk about some aspects here that this full moon is making. Okay, the first one I want to talk about is going to be this full moon making a trine over here to Chiron in the sign of Aries. So let's take a look at that. Hey, this to me is a little bit of a difficult aspect here. This to me is a bit difficult because Chiron's involved here, which tends to be a challenge. And a trine to me can go either way. It can be either positive or negative, depending on some of the other things that are going on. And this to me is more of a challenge. Okay, what is the challenge here that might be happening? Well, Chiron is a lot about fear. Okay, it's a lot about insecurity. It's a lot about triggers here. And it's in the sign of Aries about action. Okay, doing things like in shorter, easier, simpler ways. And it's also connecting with the moon in Leo about happiness, joy, and fun. Okay, there's a lot of fear and anxiety and triggers around doing that. Okay, around having fun, trusting the process, letting things play out in the way that they're meant to play out. A lot of fear, triggers, and anxiety. Okay, that can be very hard. Why? Why might this be here? Well, a few reasons. I don't think that this is something that we're used to doing, right? Trusting our heart, having fun, enjoying life, okay? I do not think this is something that we're used to doing, especially with Chiron and Aries, right? Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, okay? About doing things differently, doing things in a different way that we haven't been doing them for a while. Mars has also been retrograde in Leo and Cancer here. That's going on. And because there's a lot going on in the opposite of Leo, like Pluto in Capricorn and Aquarius, which is going to pull us out of it. So one of the reasons I think that we're having a hard time kind of being happy and having fun in general in life, and while we're in the midst of a process, not where we want to be yet, is because we're just simply not used to having fun and enjoying life. It's just not our typical way of operating in the world. Okay, what is our typical way of operating in the world, especially for the past few years, or maybe even 30 years beyond that? Pluto in Capricorn, okay? Because that's where Pluto has been for most of the past 30, well, not 30, but for most of the past years, okay? And where the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in particular was. What is Capricorn? Capricorn quincunxes Leo. Capricorn's not about fun, joy, happy fun time, playtime. Capricorn is about serious work, status, respect, money, moving up the ladder, all of that's been going on. So the reason why we're trying to be happy and have fun and surrender and trust the process and enjoy all of that, but are finding it really difficult to do, okay, is because we're not used to having fun. We're not used to just being in life and surrendering and trusting that life is okay. Instead, we're used to feeling like we always have to work. We always have to be on. We always have to prove ourselves. We have to move up the ladder. We have to make money. We have to be smarter, better, prettier than the next person, right? We're not used to just enjoying life. So this feels very uncomfortable to us, not what we're used to be doing here. That is going on. Okay, not only does this feel uncomfortable because it's simply just not the way that we have been behaving in our lives or conditioned to behave by society, but I think it's also hard too because, again, remember, we are in the midst of a process, right? We're not fully where we want to be yet into that new experience of life that really I think we've been trying to get to since 2020, especially because Saturn hasn't made it to Aries yet, although it will very soon. Okay, so I think another reason why we're having difficulty having fun, loving life, is because not only because that's not the way we've been living life and conditioned to live life. We've been conditioned to live life not having fun, work, stress, status, prove yourself, all of that, but also because we're not where we want to be. Do you see this? When we're not where we want to be in life, we don't have the money we want, we don't have the status, right? Again, back to the Pluto and Capricorn, we don't have the money, we don't have the status, and we don't have the success that we want here. It's hard to have fun when you're not where you think you want to be as well. That is going on, and just let loose when there's a lot of other concerns about money and otherwise that may be coming up here as well. So I think, right, making it uncomfortable for us. So I think that's the first thing that I want to say here about this full moon in Leo, right? We're trying to have fun in life because we're humans. We deserve to have fun and to follow our heart. Okay. And we're trying to also have fun while we're in the middle of a process, not quite yet where we want to be in life, but getting there. Have fun on the journey. And we're finding that really difficult to do because we're not used to having fun. We've been conditioned by society to believe we always have to work and always have to be on, and we're not valuable unless we're doing stuff that's serious and important. Okay. And because we're not where we want to be yet. And there's still a lot of things in our life, money, otherwise, status, that still do not feel like they're where they need to be. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention, which I think is probably the most important one of this full moon in Leo, which is going to be the fact that the moon is square Uranus over here in Taurus almost exactly by a degree. And of course, the sun is square as well if the moon is square it here. So we've got the full moon in Leo square Uranus in Taurus. Now, this is also a difficult thing because it's squares. Squares here are hard aspects. Also because Uranus is here in Taurus, a sign that it does not like to be in here as well. So this to me can be a bit of a challenge. What is the difficulty? Well, Uranus also has to do with anxiety. Okay, we already know that is going on a little from the trine to Chiron that we just discussed. But there's another indicator here indicating that. And I like it when there's two things that mean something similar because it means we're on to something. So this is increased anxiety, right? Uranus can give that anxious, nervous energy. Oh, I feel like there's something that's going to happen. The last shoe isn't dropped yet. There's a lot of anxiety going on here about our situation. Uranus is also in Taurus, and Taurus is an earth sign. It has to do with our physical environment, our body, our money, our health, things like that, natural resources, the land. So there can also too be a lot of fear about that, right? I don't have the money. What about my resources? What about my body and my health? There's like my physical life, the way that it's working. There's also a lot of stress around that, which again is not new. I already kind of mentioned that with Chiron and Aries, but is another indicator happening. Not only can it indicate this, but Uranus can also not only indicate anxiety that we're feeling, but it can also indicate sudden and unexpected. Uranus is about the unexpected events that can occur. And these, again, look challenging. They look challenging with Uranus and Taurus and the squares here. Challenging events that may occur here that's going on that either we may do unexpectedly or someone else may do unexpectedly to us that we may be on the receiving end of that could shake up Taurus, our money, shake up our finances, make them even worse than we thought they were, or even more worried about these things here that's going on that could occur. And I think a lot of these unexpected events, maybe I should note that either we do or someone else does, is because of that Chiron and Aries, is because we're nervous, because we're afraid, because we're not used to having fun and just surrendering and trusting the process. So we or the other people feel like we have to do something. I have to do something to make something happen, I can't be having fun. You know, I think it's we or the people that we're connecting with act out unexpectedly and in an unhelpful way based on fear and anxiety, not from a pure place, based on fear and anxiety here to try to get your situation better, your resources, wherever it is that you want to be here. That can also create more chaos. So Uranus can bring that, the outer planets, but Uranus, one of them, chaos, everything out of control, very hard to get a handle on here at this time. Okay, so what that means to me, to bring it together before I add on another few aspects, at this full moon in Leo, we're trying to just be happy and have fun, just because it's life. Not only are we just trying to have fun because we're humans and we exist, but we're also trying to be happy and have fun in the midst of a process and a journey in life where we're not quite where we want to be yet here. Because the journey is supposed to be fun here. That's going on. And that's a good thing to do. But even though that's a good thing to do here, it's hard for us to do. And we're feeling very triggered and anxious and nervous and fearful here about it. And we're feeling very fearful and triggered about having fun and being happy in the middle of this process because it's not something that we're used to doing in our life and by society because we've been conditioned that our purpose is not having fun, that our purpose is to work hard and to make money and to move up the ladder and to do all this other stuff. And not only is it hard for us to have fun and be happy in the midst of a process, because we've been conditioned to believe that our worth is determined by how hard we work and what we can produce, but we're also finding it hard to just have fun in life because I think there's legitimate concerns about our reality and our finances and our life and our physical existence that's not quite yet where we want it to be as well, right? Because we're in a process, we're on a journey here that's making it hard. And from this fear and this anxiety and this nervousness about what's going on and this happiness and fun and this surrender and how unusual it feels, you or someone you're connecting with may then act out suddenly and unexpectedly out of fear, out of triggers here in order to try to make yourself feel better here. That's going on so that you don't have to confront the anxiety that could then throw a lot more things up into the air and create a lot more difficulty in your life, in the lives of others, with finances, resources, and otherwise that can be challenging. Okay. That then leads me now to the next. Challenging, right? Don't want to say, okay, I'll move on. That then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention that this full moon is making. We've got the moon here in Leo, making an opposition over to Mercury in Aquarius, which is also in a conjunction with the sun here at the same time. Okay, what is this all about? Well, I will say this isn't the worst thing out of this full moon to occur, right? The more challenging things to me is Chiron in Aries and the Uranus in Taurus, right? This isn't the worst thing to happen, but this is also not my favorite thing to happen either. Maybe I'll say in this configuration, not my favorite thing to happen either because it is an opposition, right? The moon's opposing it, which can be a little hard. And Mercury's making a conjunction to the sun, which is in Aquarius, where it doesn't like to be in. So it's not a horrible thing, but it's not my favorite thing about it either. Okay, that's going on. What is it that's happening? Maybe I'll start neutrally. Well, Mercury is involved. Mercury is a lot about thinking and talking here, thinking and talking about our situation, right? Especially if there's some unexpected events that have occurred or anxieties here. So it can be about thinking and talking that we're doing with ourselves and with others to try to calm down our situation or to try to get a handle on it here. That is happening at this time. Not only can it indicate that, but it's an opposition here. And sometimes oppositions are a little difficult because it's hard to do two opposite things at once. And so oppositions can create a tendency to go to extremes, right? Too much on one side, like a seesaw, too much on one side, too much of the other. So this can also create too much of the Aquarius, Mercury and Aquarius, especially with Pluto there. And Pluto to me also brings too much of an energy. So this can bring too much thinking, too much talking here that's going on. That can be too much in the head, right? Overthinking, overanalyzing things, especially with the South Node in Virgo, overanalyzing, overthinking things here, that's going on. That can be a little bit hard and make things even more confusing. Okay, more confusing that's going on. Not only can it bring like an overthinking or an over talking, but Aquarius again is correlated to Uranus, right? Which is about sudden and unexpected events that we just talked about. So this can also lead to more sudden and unexpected things and just keeping this crazy chaos going that we don't have a handle on, instead of just having fun and trusting the process and taking it easy and letting things play out and the time that they need to play out in. That could be a bit hard here too. Not only that, but another thought I'll give you about Mercury as well is that Mercury, sure, correlates to Gemini, okay, which is where we get a lot of the thinking and talking from, but Mercury also correlates naturally to Virgo. That's also one of its home signs. Virgo is Earth Mercury. It's also more about working, right? Virgo is about routines and organization and structure. So this can and like strategy. So this can also not only throw us into too much thinking, too much talking, that now we've got confused and so much going on now that we've lost control. We've lost control of our situation, and we definitely aren't having fun and being happy and doing all that stuff to the extent that we need. But it can also create a situation where we fall back into old habits, like working too much, trying to prove ourselves, being too hard on ourselves. Sometimes the Virgo can be critical, being too hard on ourselves and our situation, maybe even pessimistic thinking. Here, we're never going to get to where we want to go in order to make some of these things happen here as well. That's going on, especially because Virgo, right, is trines Capricorn, where Pluto's been for the past while. Here, that can also be a bit of a challenge. Okay. So to continue bringing that together, right? What's going on at this full moon in Leo? We're trying to have fun and be happy in life just because we're humans and we deserve it. Not only are we just trying to have fun and be happy in life, but we're also trying to have fun and be happy in life in the midst of a transformation that hasn't fully ended yet. And in the midst of a journey and a process here that's going on. And that's a fine thing to do. But even though it's a fine thing to do, it's a challenge for us to do and very uncomfortable and triggering and anxiety inducing. And that's because it's not what we're used to doing. We're not used to having fun. Society has taught us that our worth comes from work and service and status and money. So we're not used to just being and having fun. Feels uncomfortable. Not only is it hard for us because of that, but it's also hard for us because our life literally isn't where we want it to be yet, and as secure as we want it to be yet. Here that's going on with finances, our physical environment, and all of that. And this fear and anxiety may then cause us or someone else that we're connecting with to act out suddenly and unexpectedly out of fear here, in order to try to so that they don't have to deal with these emotions. And in order to move their situation along faster and get it in a different and better place, that can then backfire, create even more challenges with your resources and with money here that's going on, and get your situation out of control. And in order to get that situation back into control, what may happen is you or the people you're connecting with may then try to overthink your situation or overtalk your situation. That may then add more confusion, or if not overthink and overtalk your situation, that may add more confusion, may fall back into working harder, doing more, proving yourself, being critical of yourself here. That again is not going to solve the problem and is just going to make you feel more challenged and not as happy and having fun here. That's going on that we're trying to work towards. Okay, that then leads me now to the next alignment that I want to mention here very briefly, just other ones going on. I also want to note here that Venus is now in the sign of Aries in pre-retrograde shadow, so it is going to go retrograde here. Venus does not like to be in the sign of Aries where it is, so this is not a good thing here. Why doesn't Venus like to be in the sign of Aries? Well, Venus is about resting, right? It's about taking it easy in a lot of ways, surrendering, because it was just in Pisces where it's exalted, and Pisces has a lot to do with those things. And the North Node, by the way, is in Pisces too, indicating our purpose towards that. And Aries, Venus finds it really hard to do those things in Aries, right? Venus likes to chill, surrender, take it easy. And Aries is about action. No, gotta make stuff happen. So this is another indicator, in case you weren't convinced by the other things that I've said here in this horoscope, another indicator that we're having problems trusting and surrendering and letting things be, and that we're overdoing our situation or trying to do too much or do more than really needs to be because we feel insecure and unsafe. Okay, here that's happening. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is another reason why I'm coming up with this. Not only that, but another thought I'll give you here too. Mars is still retrograde in the sign of Cancer, even though it's going to go direct soon. And it's making a trine as well to Chiron and Aries here too. Now it's moving beyond that a little bit, right? Backwards past it. But it's still an orb here as well. And that can also create some difficulty. Difficulty was what? Well, Mars is about action again, right? And Chiron's going to make action difficult or action weird, right? And we've got Mars in Cancer, a sign it doesn't like to be in here. That's going on as well. That can also make us behave in weird ways. So it's like with the Venus and Aries, we don't want to rest, we want to do more, but then when we try to do stuff, we're not doing it right. Like it just doesn't work here. So a lot of indicators here that what we're trying to do here in order to not feel so insecure isn't really going to help quite yet here when it comes to our situation. Okay, so do you see that? I'm going to just summarize that, and I'm going to give you the advice, shift into some of the advice. So let me do that. What's going on at this full moon in Leo? We're trying to have fun and be happy and enjoy life because we're human and we deserve to enjoy life. And we're trying to do it in the midst of a process, in the midst of a journey, to have fun with the journey where we're not where we want to be yet. And that's a fine thing. But even though that's a fine thing, we're really struggling to do it. And we're really struggling to do that because we're not used to just having fun and being in life, because we've been conditioned by society to believe that our worth comes from our ability to produce, okay, and from money and status and success. Not only are we having trouble doing it because of that, but we're also having trouble doing it because there's still a lot of things in our life that aren't really where we want them to be financially and otherwise, in order to really feel safe and secure in the way that it is that we might like. That's making us triggered and anxious and nervous. And from that anxiety, you or someone you're connecting with may act out suddenly and unexpectedly so that they don't have to feel the anxiety to try to fix your situation. And that may create even more problems, more problems with money, more problems with resources, more chaos here, everything up in the air. That can be very hard. And in order to try to resolve that chaos, what could happen is that you or the people you're connecting with, instead of just chilling and having fun, may double down harder on this chaotic event to make even more chaos happen, more craziness occur, and may then try to work harder or do more in order to fix the situation that's going on, and overthink and over communicate about the situation that then may create even more problems here that's going on, and just backfire and just not work. That can be very, very hard and leave us at a loss for what to do, uncertain of like what to do to kind of fix our situation or how to do it. Okay, that's going on. Okay. Now the advice. What do I want to give you here about the advice? Well, I think the first thing I want to give you here is some hope, right, about what's going on here. Might help. And I think my first thought here is April to July. I've said this pretty consistently in my recent videos, and I've said 2025 is going to be a better year for years here. April to July. It hasn't happened yet. We're in February. April to July of this year, 2025, is going to be a good time. It is going to be a time when a lot of things are going to start to come together that have been struggling in your life, that have been confusing in your life. It's going to all start to become more clear about what needs to happen and how it needs to happen. Okay, not only is April to July when a lot of things are going to become more clear, but April to July is when you're going to be able to take action. Okay, and when that action is going to be effective, very effective here, to dismantle your old life and get a foundation in the new here that's going on. So the first thought that I want to say here is, right, this full moon in Leo does look a little hard here, but things are going to get better soon. Just give it a few more weeks, April to July. And in April to July is when you're going to get clarity about what exactly is going on in your life and what needs to happen. And you're going to take action to do it. And that action is going to be effective, okay, to make some turnarounds in your life for the better. Okay. Not only do I want to say that as advice, but part of the advice that I want to give you here is going to be with Uranus and Taurus. And the reason why I want to go to that is because it is what's forming a T-square to the full moon, because it's halfway in between the sun and the moon. And that to me always forms a little bit of an arrow here that's going on, pointing to that focal point of the T-square being extra important. Okay, and that's Uranus and Taurus. Uranus is about anxiety, about nervousness. Here, I think that another piece of advice I have to give you is there's a huge need to calm your anxiety at this full moon, and to focus on that first and foremost here, ways you can manage your anxiety in a helpful way here that's going on at this time, whether that is, whatever that is, whether for you playing sports is calming, or whether it's, whether it's music, whether it's being out in nature, maybe you need some herbal supplements, right? You got to focus on calming the anxiety here at this time, because when we're nervous, we do not act right. We don't act properly. When we're nervous, we'll do whatever anyone tells us we can do in order to not be nervous and fix our situation. So you need to really focus on not being nervous and calming your anxiety so that it'll put you in a better state. Okay, here that's going on. Not only is at the advice. But the advice too is also with the Taurus situation here as well. Taurus is not about going above and beyond. Taurus to me is about the basics, the simple life here, that the things that you need, right? Taurus is about your needs. Okay, Scorpio is about your wants, Taurus is about your needs, Taurus is also about your values. So another piece of advice here is not only you got to calm your nerves in whatever healthy way you can, okay, because there's a lot of unhealthy ways to do it, but we don't want to do these unhealthy ways. We want to do, healthy ways to calm our nerves, okay? But sorry, maybe that's a message for some of you with the North Node in Pisces. We're trying to kick addictions here. The North Node in Pisces, you got to kick addiction. So this isn't cope with unhealthy ways. That felt really important. You got to learn how to deal with your anxiety in healthy ways. Okay. And then the other thought that I was getting onto, not only do you have to learn how to deal with your anxiety in healthy ways at this full moon, but when it comes to your life, in whatever is not where you want it to be yet. Because remember, I said we're in a process. You have to learn how to stabilize that and get that in a secure place. That's not above and beyond. That is, you got to learn how to live with less. Maybe that's a little bit of what I'm trying to say. You're going to have to learn how to live with a little less, how to do without a little, how to be happy with less here that's going on. Okay, because we don't need as much as we think we do, especially not with Pluto been in Capricorn for the past 15 years, which is all about capitalism, buying more, spending more. You don't need all that. Okay, there's something here about the Uranus and Taurus, the advice for this full moon. Have hope. Things are going to get better soon. Calm your anxiety. Things are going to be fine. Do that in healthy ways. And not only that, but learn how to do with a little less. Not forever. Okay, just for a little bit, at least the next few months, okay, until April, because you really don't need as much as you think you do, here that's going on, and because you're going to be just fine, okay, and to stabilize your situation here, okay, that's going on. Not only that, but the last piece of advice I'll give you, which is really the whole point of this full moon here in Leo, right, is this. Full moons are about choices, right? Because they're a function of an opposition. Leo is about happiness. It's about having fun. It's also about looking on the bright side, right? Leo's ruled by the sun, very bright. That's going on. So I think another part of the advice here, once you got to do the other stuff first. You got to have faith. Everything's going to turn out. You got to calm your emotions and you got to live with less. And then after that, have fun in your situation. If you're having fun, you're not thinking about all these things you can buy, right? You're just chilling. You're just doing all this stuff, right? Choose to have fun. Choose to look on the bright side here of life. Not only that, but Leo's a lot about the present moment, not about the future. It's about the present. Choose to live in the present and not get so caught up in what if this happens? What if that happened? What if this goes wrong? No. Stay present in your body, especially with the Uranus and Taurus here and in this moment. That's going on at this time. Not only that, but maybe another piece of advice I'll give you with the North Node conjunct Neptune and Pisces still happening is trust, faith. Spiritual practice, creative practice may also be very helpful at this time in order to bring things together, make this easier. Okay, and that's it, because that's it here. I'm now just going to repeat that one last time before we move on. So let me do that. What I think is going on here at this full moon in Leo is that we are trying to be happy and to just have fun in life, because we're humans and we deserve to have fun, even while we're in the midst of a process, not yet quite where we want to be yet in life. And that's a very good thing to try to do and to want to do. But even though that's a very good thing to try to do and to want to do, we're really struggling to do it at this full moon in Leo. And we're really struggling to do it because we have been conditioned by society for a very long time to believe that our value and worth is not from us just being who we are and having fun, but from producing and from working and from having money, status, and success. So it's a bit unusual for us to have fun. Not only is it hard for us to do because it's just not what we're used to, but it's also hard for us to do because we're not where we want to be in life yet, because we're in a process and we still have some very real concerns about money, finances, resources, and other things going on here that is making us very anxious and nervous. And from this anxiety and nervousness, what may happen is that we or the people in our lives may act out suddenly and unexpectedly here in order to not have to deal with this anxiety that it is that we're feeling. And in order to try to do more to fix our situation, which is really the old way of doing things, that may then create a lot more problems with money and resources than what we had before, and a lot of chaos. And in order to manage that chaos and to get it back under control, what may happen is that we then may do more unexpected, chaotic things that may not work here. And we may try to work more and do more and prove ourselves more. That also isn't going to work, and it is going to backfire. And we may overthink and overcomplicate and overcommunicate about the matter. That can also backfire there as well and make us feel very upset here, and just stuck and hurt and just not sure what to do, or like nothing that we're doing is really working. Okay, that can be very uncomfortable here at this time. And because that's going on, I'm going to give you some advice. And the advice about how to handle this full moon in Leo is to know that things are going to get better. Not yet, but soon, April to July, and to have faith and trust that they will get better then. Not only is that part of the advice, but a part of the advice too is that in the meantime, between now to July, April, July, between now and then, here, to do what you can to calm your nerves and to calm your anxiety in healthy ways, not unhealthy ways, like drugs and addictions, not unhealthy ways, to calm your nerves in healthy ways, okay? Through exercise or music or rest or creativity or spirituality here that's going on, okay? Because when you're nervous, you don't make good decisions. And not only is part of the advice to calm yourself and your nerves, but it also too is to stabilize your situation, not make it crazy, but to stabilize your situation and keep it in a stable place here, and to be okay with less for temporarily if you need to, in order to make some things come together. Okay, not only is that the advice, but the advice as well is once you've done that, calmed your nerves and stabilized your situation, done okay with less, to choose to be happy anyways, despite your circumstance, and to have fun anyways, and to live in the present moment, and to not let your mind get the best of you about what it coulda, shoulda, the past or the future here that's going on, and to, try to follow your heart and be at ease there. Okay, and that's it, because those things, right, are going to get you to April and July, to this better experience. And in April and July is when you're going to get more clarity about what you need to do to fix your situation or to turn it around since 2020, and when you're going to get more motivation and action to actually fix your life, and when it's going to work, it's going to be effective to get your life going in a different and a better place. Okay, and that's it. Okay. Because that's it, I now like to just say a few more things in my own words here before moving on, because sometimes it helps to just say things differently, and because I'm kind of beholden to the aspects in that other time. So let me just gather my thoughts here for a minute. What do I want to say? Let me just say this differently for a minute. We're going into a new, different, and better experience of life. We've been trying to do it really since 2020. It is going to happen this year, okay? July. Okay, it is going to happen this year. We are going to get there. Okay, it just hasn't happened yet. Okay, but we are going to get there. Okay, and I think the thing that's happening at this full moon in Leo is just so much anxiety and nervousness about that. There's so much anxiety and nervousness about getting there. Am I going to get there? When am I going to get there? What is it going to be like? Am I going to like it? Am I not going to like it? There's so much anxiety. I just got the image while I was saying that of like going on a road trip and you've got two kids in the back seat. You're driving, you got two kids in the back seat. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Well, what about this? What about that? That's uncomfortable if you're driving, here that's going on. Probably uncomfortable for them too, so it's like, there's a lot of what's happening here. We've been trying to get to a new, different, and better experience of life since 2020. It is going to happen in some sort of very significant way this year, especially July, okay? But we're not there yet because we haven't gotten to that April-July timeframe, and we are nervous. We're nervous, we're anxious, all in the mind. What's going to happen? Are we going to get there? That's very hard, okay? And instead of just trusting and having fun with it, we're getting all in a tizzy and creating some stuff. That's hard. thinking back to that analogy, I didn't plan this analogy before. This video just came to me we're on a road trip, going somewhere fun. Okay, you're driving, you got kids in the back. Okay, well, sometimes if you've had this experience, I've been with my niece and my nephew on a road trip. Okay, sometimes when they're on the road trip, when we're not there yet, they then start to argue with each other because what else are you going to do on a long road trip and we're not there yet? And it makes the road trip more miserable for them, for everyone driving. But what would be best is if the kids in the back just had fun, watch TV, read a book, play on, your little handheld game back there, that's going on. And so I think that's what I'm feeling here. We're on a road trip to somewhere really cool, gonna be good, whether it looks like it now or not. Okay, I know you're antsy, I know you're anxious, I know you want to create a lot of problems here in the back seat because you're worried and you don't know and you're tired of waiting here, but don't preoccupy yourself with something fun here that's going on so that you don't create more of a mess, okay? Because we're going to be okay. And now is really not the time to act and to fix things. It's April. And trust me, when April comes, the action's going to hit swift and fast and bring a lot of change here. Okay? Because that's Aries season, right? April's Aries season. Saturn and Neptune are going to be there as well. Something's going to be coming. You just got to chill. Okay? What else do I want to say? Other thoughts that I want to offer here. Happiness, joy is the point. Okay, this isn't a distraction. I said this a little bit 2 weeks ago. Happiness, joy, and really surrender, creative, right? It's not a distraction, it's the point. Okay. I know that some of you all may be like, well, how can I be happy and have fun when I have bills to pay that aren't going to pay themselves, right? Some of you may be thinking that. Okay. And you may be thinking having fun is a distraction from me paying the bills. And I think my thought on that is like, no. Happiness and fun is the solution. It's the solution to you doing this other thing or paying your bills or whatever you need. It is the solution here because it's going to give you the answers that you need, right? When you are, and I know I've said this a few other times in this video, but I'm going to say it again, when you are nervous and when you are anxious and when you're living in fight or flight, paycheck to paycheck, gotta do this, you don't make good decisions. You make decisions out of fear. They're fear-based decisions. What do I do, right? And when you make decisions out of fear, right, they're not the best ones for you. But when you're in a state of happiness, when you're in a state of joy, all of a sudden you make better decisions and you give room for spirit and intuition to speak to you and for synchronicities, right? Miracles, magic to happen, with some of this Pisces going on as well. So I know that some of you are probably here, like being happy and having fun is tone deaf, is impractical or whatever. And I'm here to say it's not. It is the most practical thing you can do because having fun is going to help you make better decisions about how to get money, about where to go. That's actually going to be more effective, even if you have to do without a few things in the meantime, here. And if you think that happiness and fun is not a helpful perspective, I ask you to consider, is that maybe old thinking? Is that maybe thinking from Pluto and Capricorn in a capitalist society that tells you all these other things, that's going on, okay? Right? The Pluto and Capricorn, where it's been, which to me has a lot to do with capitalism because Capricorn's about business and money and success and moving up the ladder, right? And constantly producing more and making more money and increased profits, right? Where it's been for a while, okay, is going to tell you that being happy, right? In Capricorn quincunx is the Leo where the full moon is, okay? It's like this capitalistic worldview, I got to make more money, I got to move up the ladder, I got to have more status and success, is going to tell you, oh, having fun, don't do that. Don't just have fun because then you can't produce more. You know what I mean? So it's like, if the happiness and fun thing is still hard for you, consider if maybe some of your beliefs about life are in the way here of what's going on, okay? Okay. When you're happy, you make better decisions. And maybe I need to add, it's not only you make better decisions, you make swifter decisions too, right? It's like when you're happy and when you're having fun and when you're not stressed, when you're in a not stressed place, not only do you make better decisions because they're coming from a more pure place, but once you make a decision, ooh, you know what decision to make. You're like, this one is the right one for me and I am going towards it, right? Taking that Leo leadership initiative towards it here as well. But when you're nervous and anxious, you're like, oh, I don't know what decision to make. Should I make this one? Should I make that one? I don't know. And then I'm going to do the wrong one. And then once you make the wrong one, you don't know, you're all worried about it. So it's like happiness, joy, ease, peace is the most practical thing you can do here in order to improve your situation. Okay, not only that, but there's another thought that I want to say here as well about some things that's going on. And another thought that I want to add too, maybe to think about it a different way, is that happiness and joy is an act of rebellion, right? If we want to consider that in a world that values money, status, success, I keep pointing to Sag, this is Capricorn, is the biggest act of rebellion or protest that you can make, is to be happy and to enjoy your life and to, with what's going on and to be in the present moment, is one in a world that tells you that you can't be who you are or you can't be happy unless you're making money, right? So also keep this in mind here too, that's going on here. Another thought that I want to say about that, again, because I'm feeling like there might be some resistances from a lot of you all about this being happy stuff here. Another thought I want to give you is you don't need as much as you think you do to be happy, right? This is another thought from this horoscope. Some of you might be thinking, oh, well, I can't be happy unless I have more money, unless I have a better job, unless I have status, and unless I have success. No. That, again, that's back to the Pluto and Capricorn way of thinking, the capitalistic way of thinking. Oh, I can't be happy unless I have all this stuff. It's like, that's not true. You can be happy with less. You don't need all this stuff. What happened to the days when happiness was just like going barefoot on the grass? What happened to when happiness is just drinking a pink lemonade in your backyard? You know what I mean? What happened to when happiness is just going on a joyride through a mountain pass near town? You know what I mean? It's like, you don't need a lot of money to be happy. And if you think that, that also might be a little bit of this old way. So, right? And that's the point. The point is to be happy even if you're not where you want to be yet. To be happy even if you're not in your circumstance yet. Okay? Right? And that's also a key part of this interpretation. If you've been listening to it, I didn't say, oh, we're everywhere we need to be. Now we got to be happy. No. I said, we're not where we want to be, but we got to be happy anyways. We're not where we want to be. You have to be happy anyways, right? And that's where the biggest act of rebellion is. When you're not where you want to be, but you're still being joyful. When people can't take your heart from you, right? Do you see? Because a lot can be taken from you. Maybe that's another thought, right? With the Uranus and Taurus here, a lot can be taken from you in the world, in life. But what can't be taken from you? Your heart, who you are, what's going on inside you. That is under your control. How you perceive the world, how you think of the world, your perspective on it. So that's another thought there. Again, for some of you who are still struggling with the, I can't be happy because of a physical circumstance. It's like, well, being happy is a choice and it doesn't depend on your physical circumstance like you think, because even after everything is taken from you, you still have yourself and your heart, and that can't be taken away from you. Your heart, that's like the immutable thing. Like what makes you happy, your joy, the internal stuff is going to be with you. And that's what's really lasting. That's what really has value in the world. I think that as a society, again, to keep going back to that, we've been taught that what is valuable is again, money, status, success, all these Capricorn things. But what is truly valuable is the connections we make with ourselves and others, right? What is truly valuable is what we learn on this journey. What's truly valuable is like our own internal world and emotional well-being, which is what is trying to emerge here, especially with Venus was retrograde in Leo 2 years ago here, and Venus is about value, and then Venus retrograding back into its place of exaltation in Pisces. Pisces is also about emotions, right? Leo is about happiness. So it's like there's a lot of things here that I hope you can kind of put together here of like happiness and joy. It's the best strategy to turn anything in your life around that you need. And it's the whole point of what we're working towards is happiness and joy and valuing we got to make the main thing here, which is the heart. The heart is what truly matters at the end of the day. And maybe that's another thought here too, right? Leo, where the full moon is ruled by the sun. Okay. And Leo's about our heart and our happiness and our joy, right? And Leo's ruled by the sun. And what is the sun? It's the center of our universe, right? The center of our universe isn't Venus. It's not money. The center of our universe isn't Saturn. It's not hard work and status success. The center of our universe, where we all live, that Earth revolves around, is our heart. It's happiness. It's joy. That is what gives us life, literally. The sun, we need it to grow. It's what gives us life. We need it to live. Without it, we couldn't exist. Here, it's like happiness, joy is the most important thing here. And we need to remember that and come back to that here. Okay. And stop thinking that what's important is all this other stuff that it's not. Okay. And, thinking of that, happiness is the one thing that can't be taken away, right? And thinking of the sun. Now I don't know too much, to be honest, about space, and I don't know about all these movements, but the sun, for a very long time, has continued to rise and set on the earth, no matter what goes on here. No matter what goes on here with ourselves, the dinosaurs, whatever, it continues. The heart goes on. And it's the one thing that to me is right, matters the most and cannot be taken from you here, and needs to be honored. And maybe another thought I'll give you here before I pull your card and look at your inside degrees. Another thought that I'll give you here too is that I think that's really been the biggest thing since 2020 that's been holding, I don't know if I want to say holding us back, but that's been making it hard for us to get into a new, different, and better experience of life. If you listen to my context earlier in this video, I did mention something about 2022 to 2023, right? Being about the Scorpio stuff with the South Node there, about, working through debt and getting rid of some unhelpful relationships, and about working through some negative emotions, right? I did talk about that, but that was really just to get us in a stable place. All of that stuff was really just to get us stable after a time of a lot of uncertainty and change from 2020 to 2022. Okay. It really wasn't until 2023 when Venus went retrograde in Leo, where the full moon now is, and Mars just went retrograde a few months ago, that the real thing that we needed to work on started to come into focus. And that real thing that we needed to work on was Leo, where the retrogrades here were, which is the heart, is happiness. So even though I talked about in 2022, you got to stabilize and work through the debt and the negative emotions, that was really just to stop the bleeding from 2020. That was just to stop the bleeding from 2020. Okay, the real issue has been 2023 to now, which is the heart. We got to come back into the heart. When we got to make the main thing, and realize that the main thing's not money, status, and success. The main thing is connection and heart and happiness and joy and being here. That's going on. And I know that sounds so simple, but it's been really hard for us to do. It's been really, really hard for us to get a handle on with what has been happening here. Okay, with the world and all of that. So this is the main issue here that's been keeping us stuck. And once we resolve this issue, being happy, honoring our heart, we're going to get moving. But it's like, we got to do this first here in order for all of that to happen. So also keep that in mind. This has been the real thing here. And why has it been the real thing? You know, why has it been the real thing? Well, I think that, right, again, I think that part of society, right, has told us, like, has not valued our happiness and all of that. But I think too, remember I said in 2020, to now connect to a lot of past timelines, remember I said in 2020, we've been trying to end something that was going on in our life for 30 to 35 years prior here. And that we were ending that in 2020 from those years prior because we either didn't like it or had outgrown it. Okay, why did we either not like it or had outgrown it? Because it wasn't in touch with our hearts, right? We were making endings in 2020 because the life we were living was a shell of itself, or was us being a shell of ourselves, just being who we thought we should be, acting how we thought we should act, instead of truly feeling connected and embodying, embracing it. So that's what this whole change has been about. Honoring our heart, love for ourselves, for other people, having fun. And that's why other things didn't really work out in the way that they needed. It sounds so simple, but sometimes the simplest things are the most true. Okay, and I think that's all I'll say there. Yeah. Yeah, we got to get in touch with the heart, whatever you can do to do that in a healthy way between now, April and July. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up your inside degrees and take a look at those. The inside degrees were not written by me. They were written by someone else named Elias Lonsdale, who channeled the meanings of each of the degrees from Spirit. But I just like them because I find them really interesting to add more info or confirmation, and really accurate too. So we're going to look at that. This full moon in Leo is at 24 degrees Leo, but the ones before, of, and after can all be helpful because the planets are in motion. Okay, I actually liked 25 the best here. Yeah, I like 25 the best. Not that 24 can't be relevant, but I'm just going to go to 25. So let's look at that. It says mapping out a blueprint, a great plan, designing into it the perfect escape route, which is an anonymity. Well, okay, maybe we'll go to 24. Sorry, let's go to 24 first, then I'll come to 25. It said immortal stature. Here we go. Undiminished interior presence. A throwback to heroic times and places, character elevated, the universal code upheld. You are stalwart, uncompromising, and even rabid, vertical understanding and allegiance, exquisite sensibility, nobility, and the core of human nature embodied. You have a subtle undertone of magic and miracle, yet you're often overtly quiet, simple, and straight. All goes into the spirit, poignant and evocative and moving. So in most of this inside degree, which is very short, there is something here about, we got interior presence, character elevated, exquisite sensibility. And so to me, this does indicate some kind of like inward truth, or some sort of like inward strength, inward truth, or inward starting to emerge here. That's going on, that is really going to be helpful to us. Okay, right? It uses all your exquisite, heroic, elevated, right? So that's what I get partially from this inside degree. There's a lot of internal strength and insight and understanding that's really going to be helpful to us. And then we get here, yet you're often overtly quiet, simple, and straight. Okay, all goes into the spirit, poignant and evocative and moving, right? And then we get to the last line of this inside degree, which is kind of weirdly about like keeping it under or keeping it hidden, right? Quiet, simple, and straight. So I'm getting the sense that even though at this full moon in Leo, there is some sort of inner strength or insight emerging, that's going to be very, very good for us, that we're not ready yet to fully explore it. We're not ready yet to fully let it out into the world here. That's going on. And it's still small, this inner strength and courage and happiness here that's going on, and quiet and not able to fully express itself. Okay. And that's also why I liked Leo 25 as well, 25 degrees Leo, because it goes on that direction. Mapping out a blueprint, a great plan, designing it into the perfect escape route, which is anonymity, going under for the duration. You make absolutely sure that you look and act like a clone of any given prototype that calls no attention to itself. So here you get another degree, the degree right after the full moon, that's also talking about how there's something that's kind of hiding, or that's not seen, or that's not able to fully express itself here that's going on, that looks just like everything before it. Okay, and this to me can indicate two things internally, like inner happiness and strength is brewing, but we're not able to fully express it yet because of anxiety. But it can also indicate too something good in our life. Remember, I keep saying there's something good in our life that's going to happen soon. And this can also indicate we're not seeing it yet, right? We don't see it yet. It's anonymous, it's under the radar here as well. Okay. Yet we don't see it yet. It says, with everything splendidly in place and the perfect disguise solidly maintained, you are safe inside to go into absolutely anything. Okay, the inside track becomes as fanciful and free as the outside track becomes innocuous and banal. Okay, what does this say? This to me says that sometimes that is useful, right? Sometimes when the inner strength is brewing, but the outer doesn't reflect it, right? Or we're not expressing it out in the outer. It says sometimes that experience can be really useful. And sometimes that experience can be really useful because it gives us freedom, right? The sun is still in Aquarius. It gives us the freedom to kind of go inwards here and to work some things out, and to make more adjustments here that's going on. So I think that that's also part of what I'm getting from this. Yeah. Not only am I getting that from this inside degree, but remember I said there's also maybe something in your situation that feels uneasy or up in the air, especially for some of you with finances. Like, I can't be happy with the finances not there. And this to me also is another indicator of like, try to get the outside, the finances, the physical world, not above and beyond, just in some kind of place, stable place, so that you can go inside and work out the inside stuff too. So I also get that. Okay, it says this way of doing it is half mad and half brilliant. It is half mad in that it is so suppressive to any prospects of expressing and embodying yourself in the real world. And it is half brilliant, offering such outward stability, there we go, that the inward formative chaos can romp without disturbing the neighbors or anybody, even your own ego mind. Ultimately, it's a perfect way to grapple with being vastly other, yet still needing and wanting to be an integral part of things, loved, accepted, and welcomed. It is a strange bargain, but you feel it deeply to be viable and escapable and true. So this also speaks of some of that inner dilemma that some of you may feel, like, I want to have courage and I want to express myself and be happy and fun, but I can't be because I have all these worries. So I'm not going to be happy and fun. Right. I think this to me kind of explains these last few sentences I have highlighted our inner conflict around this of like, I want to be happy, but I'm not ready to show it outwardly yet. And that's weird. Or I want to be happy, but my situation isn't where I want it to be yet. And how can I be happy with that? That's weird. This is a weird predicament, right? I'm getting like a little bit of that coming through here. Okay. So I think that's my thought on that. But it says ultimately it is the perfect way to grapple. I think that there's a little bit of this dichotomy that's needed between the outer and the inner in order to really work some things out here. Okay. Not only that, but I also wanted to take a look at Uranus here because it is in a T-square to this full moon, and take a look at that. And Uranus is at 23 degrees, but I like 24. So I'm going to go with 24 as well. I think I'm feeling more of those. So let's look here really quickly. It says nothing to say, everything to do. The self cannot be articulated because it is far too busily pressed out into emergency mobilization 24 hours a day. Okay, this is another indicator. We've got the full moon in Leo, that degree we just read, and we've got this degree for Taurus, Uranus and Taurus square this full moon, also about the self cannot be articulated, right? Still feeling stymied, still feeling unable to be happy, to express, to do what we want to do, hiding that under, or that just not being seen. If not the happiness not being able to be articulated, then the good things in life we want to manifest, just not coming, just not coming, just not happening. Okay. This is another indicator from another source that's not me saying that that could potentially be going on. Okay. Not only that, but I also was more drawn to this degree than the other one because it says emergency mobilization 24 hours a day. And I think the Uranus here at this degree can do that because it doesn't like to be in Taurus, especially after the Pluto in Capricorn for a long time, which I think we're still kind of dealing with. And Capricorn is a lot about emergency situations here. So I think there's also this dichotomy as well that's going on. I can't be happy because I've got emergency situations to take care of, or I can't be happy because I feel like I'm in emergency, that's going on, or I can't do these other things here. Okay. It says no personal life, no personal world, no personal self, just fantastic availability to the call, the collective vigil entered upon willingly and selflessly. So this to me is indicating that because we're so stressed, right, about our life and not able in an emergency mode and not able to be happy, have fun, and express that here, that we're not tending to our personal needs, right? And to me, Leo can be very personal. We're not attending with it being correlated to the sun, right? A personal planet. We're not tending to our personal needs here and what's going on. We're too focused on what's wrong or what needs help or what needs to be fixed or the emergency that's going on. And So I think that's what I'm getting here from this degree. Want to be happy, but there's an emergency going on here that we feel, if we think it's an emergency, preventing us from being happy. And because of that, we're not focusing on the things, our heart, our passion, things like that. We're getting distracted by all of these other things. Okay. It says the demands and rigors of this position and stance are punishing and extreme. Okay. They're not pleasant when you're ignoring your heart and things you might enjoy. It says you are so hard pressed, so rabidly attentive that nothing else exists. Okay. The assignment is clear, brutally so. Be on the spot at every level, maintain order, keeping everything going, and stay tuned to everything unusual and strange. Follow it out, keep it in your sights, and make absolutely sure that you are sober, integrity sworn, and diligent to hold the center and uphold the law with a steadfastness beyond belief. Okay. Other things that I get from this here, it says keep everything going, okay, and maintain order, right? It says that. And I think that's part of the advice. Remember, part of the advice is like, you got to stabilize your situation, even if it means that you got to do with less here. That's going on, right? You got to maintain order and keep everything going. Even though we're nervous and anxious and we feel like we're in an emergency and things aren't going right, that doesn't mean get everything out of order, get everything crazy and out of order and make everything chaotic and stop everything and do something totally different and throw everything up into the air, right? Like maybe that's going to happen to some of you at this full moon. I've got to do everything different, everything wrong. And it's like, no, don't throw everything. You don't get everything out of order. Don't throw everything up in the air. Just keep doing what you're doing. Okay. Just keep doing what you're doing. Okay. And keep it orderly. Even if it's not what you want to be, even if it's not where you want to be going, keep it orderly. Try to keep some semblance of stability there, because it's this order and this stability that's going to give you, it's going to enable you to go inwards to reflect. So when the time is right, April and July, you can start acting. Okay. So I think that's my thought here, maybe from those degrees that I've read. Maybe now I'll summarize it. We're trying to be happy, but we feel like we can't be happy because there's maybe other things going on in our life that feel like an emergency that we need to tend to here. That is very hard for us here. That's going on, making us feel like we can't be happy and that we need to suppress our personal self and our feelings and our emotional life and deal with these other things that are going on. And that is not comfortable and that's not going to feel good. And I don't really think that's where we need to be, dealing with these emergency things. Instead, what we need to be doing here is trying to keep our situation just going, not throwing everything up there, just keep it going and making it as stable and secure as we can so that that can give us the freedom in private, inside ourselves to work some other things out, to get our perspective right, to build our strength up, so that April, our strength will be strong. Our strength will be strong. Our happiness will be there. Our fighting spirit will be back. And in April and July, then we can go for things with more clarity that we need. But now we're kind of in a weird space, feeling one way, but our life not representing it, and having to kind of walk that double line, right? Especially with the Jupiter there too in Gemini. Okay, but I think that's all I'm going to say there. Because that's it, I'm now going to go ahead and pull your card. So let's do that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's a whole double life, like, right? Some of you may feel like you're living two lives here, or part of you wants to be happy, but your situation isn't happy yet. And like, you can't be both at the same time here. That's going on. And the answer to that is not to throw your situation into chaos unexpectedly, but is to keep things going the best that you can in a more orderly can, to buy yourself a little bit more time, to get yourself going and to get yourself in a good place, and then to tune in to the heart space and the personal life, which is then going to lead you to April, when that conflict's going to resolve itself in July, and you're going to feel more ready to do stuff and go. Okay, and that's it. Because that's it. I've now got your card here. It's the Ace of Wands here upright, a little bonsai tree. That's nice. And at the bottom of the deck, we've got the Three of Cups here upright. Okay. You know, what's interesting about this, like this is a little bonsai tree here on the Ace of Wands. This to me does indicate something good is going on, or something good is growing, although it does look like a very small one. This person's holding it in their hand. So again, there's something very good that's going to go on here. I do believe that. It just is very small and we can't quite see it yet. And maybe that's part of what you need to hold on to, right? Like if someone told you, if an angel came into your living room or your bedroom tonight while you were sleeping and told you like everything is going to be okay 100%, I know for a fact, you know, like everything's going to be okay, how would you act? Would you start acting differently? Would you finally let yourself have fun or be easy, you know, things like that? So I think that's a thought there. Something good's going to happen. You just can't see it yet. You have to trust and have faith. And how would you live your life differently if you knew everything was going to be okay? What would you do differently? Would you be happy? Would you have fun? Maybe spend some time thinking about that. The Three of Cups is also a very joyful card as well. You know, one about having fun, playing, being with other people here as well on this card. So I think that's the answer. That's the thought, is like everything is going to be okay. April to July. If you knew that, what would you do? And look at this, they're dancing. They're dancing, they're out with friends, you know, maybe there's music playing that's going on. And maybe if some of you are contemplating doing something unexpected at this full moon because you're anxious or nervous, ask yourself, would you do that thing? Would you do this unexpected thing if you felt safe, secure? Would you do that thing if you knew that your situation was going to be fine? You know what I mean? Like a few months from now here, that's going on. Because if the answer was yes, then maybe this is coming from a pure place. But if the answer is no, I wouldn't do this thing if my situation was going to turn out even better later on or whatever, then, you know, that might help guide your decision making so that you here can make the right decisions. You know, that's going on. Okay. Because you want to act from a place of joy and not from a place of despair or fear or anxiety. And I think that's what I'll say there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful for you. I wish you all the best this full moon in Leo. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you 2 weeks from now. The next video for that new moon in the sign of Pisces.